I think we're very much shaped but not limited by the environments that we grow up in, because I think if we grow up in the environment that doesn't feel right, then we have this longing that takes us to a different kind of environment. So I think in some ways not having it, that's like the seed for dreaming of a better place as well. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think, I like to write books about ideas. I'm an intellectual, I like to think about things, but I think that everything happens to us happens to our bodily selves. It happens in a material world. And what I try and do in my books over and over is to bring ideas into the bodily reality, to find out what it's like for the individual to live in a bodily world, but also for all of us communally. How do we share the resources of the world imaginatively, but also physically? So yeah, I think you're right. I think it is at the center. I think that there's so much that is to do with gender, about loneliness, to do with the specific things that are required of people who present as female. And I think those things are very grueling. That sense of having to perform all the time and being anxious about failing to perform, I think it affects even the most beautiful people on earth, because even the most beautiful person gets old. So that feeling is a huge source of loneliness. But at the same time, we are all subject to eyes, and I don't just mean the eyes from other people, I also mean the surveillance, the digital surveillance that we're constantly under. And I think that makes people feel deeply afraid and as if they're not measuring up. And that sense, I think that's the real 21st century loneliness, that one. I think the thing is that the body can be a source of imprisonment. The body can be a source of real difficulty in life, but also if we want a route to freedom, it is the body that does that. So something like protesting on the streets, that's how we have enlarged our freedoms. The freedoms that you and I might experience on a daily basis has happened because of other people's bodies taking risks. And then I like to think of it like that. I like to think that we're a part of a larger body, and that body isn't even all alive anymore. It isn't even all born yet. We're part of this corpus, and that to me is, it's about solidarity, but it's also about a kind of hope. But I think I always want to start with me and my experience, to explain why I'm interested in it, to explain what my connection is. But I'm not interested in just memoir. I wouldn't want to just tell my story, because what I want is for it to travel into the larger story, to talk about, the affairs of the world. So I always want it to just be the beginning, like a diving board, but then there's this beautiful deep pool to travel into. I write anywhere. I can write on a train. I tend to write at home sitting on my sofa. I very rarely sit at a desk, but at the moment I have a little studio in Rome and I'm writing in Rome, so that's my current desk.